Steeler Nation, it's been some time since the conclusion of the 2019 season, and we've never had an opportunity to really sit down and discuss our plans for the 2020 season. Now, granted, we're not going to be the ones on the field, but damn it, we can speculate. Let's talk the 2020 NFL Draft. Now, we're not even too sure if the season's going to end up happening because given the pandemic outside, nobody knows what's going to transpire. Will sports ever be back? But we ain't talking about that right now. We've got to evaluate the picks that our front office did. Now, we know we did not have a first-round pick. That's because we traded it away to get our best offensive player of last year. That being Micah Fitzpatrick. But he plays on defense. He was still our biggest offensive threat. Didn't you feel comfortable when you saw Micah Fitzpatrick on the field versus when you saw our actual offense last year? Don't lie to yourself. You know damn well anytime Micah Fitzpatrick touched the football, you felt as if we were going to score. More importantly, if you seen him anywhere around the football, you thought he could take it away from his opposition and then find the end zone. So I don't want to hear it. Micah Fitzpatrick was our first round pick this year, and that's all there is to it. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. A whole lot of Steelers fans said, we should have drafted a quarterback. What about a running back in the second round? I beg to differ. Because there is no way, I truly believe, that we would have found Big Ben's successor in this particular draft. More importantly, Ben intends to maybe play 2 more years. Now, we have a 2-year window to go and find his replacement. That does not mean we need to go into the draft to go and get them like most people expect to find somebody successful. We can grab somebody in free agency. There are a ton of other, well, not really a ton. There are a few quarterbacks who can walk right in and you'll feel comfortable with them versus Mason Rudolph or a Devlin Hodges or even, J.T. Barrett. Flacco is still on the market. We've seen him terrorize our team a few times over the course of the past decade. Not, as of late. We kind of had his number. But in his day, he could put up stuff. He can be a suitable backup. I'd have no issue if he was a backup. You can make a move for an Andy Dalton and get him for pennies on the dollar because Cincinnati will be willing to move from him. I would have loved to see Jameis Winston walk into our quarterback room, regardless of the fact that the man's a turnover machine. If he gets the right tutelage, he can actually be something, worth putting on the field and feeling confident behind him. The man did still throw for 5,000 yards, all right, was second in the league in touchdowns, regardless of the fact that he was 30 for 30. He's going to have his own ESPN special, but we ain't talking about that right now. And there are a ton of other, quarterbacks that are available. Some that can be immediately, thrown right in when Ben hangs it up, and others that just need to be groomed. Hell, Cam Newton is still out there, but he probably won't come in and sit for a season. I highly doubt that's going to happen. We ain't talking about that right now. No quarterbacks was taken. I'm not too concerned about that. Our first pick, we went into the second round, all right, and we picked up, Chase Claypool at number 49. And I like this pick out of Notre Dame. Why? This is a big receiver who can move. And I watched a lot of his film over the course of the past few days, and he knows how to high point the ball. And given Big Ben likes to throw high, this is great. Think about what our wide receiver room looked like last year. We were struggling. We were lucky to find a gem in Deontay Johnson. We still have questions about, James Washington, regardless of the fact that he actually did step it up last year. Juju Smith-Schuster was injured, so we didn't get an opportunity to really see that all, work out. Vance McDonald was in and out of the lineup, so we wanted to see what was happening with the targets that we could have for Ben. And now we add to that. Plus, with the signing of Eric Ebron coming over from Indianapolis, look at the targets that Ben has to throw to now. You have Chase Claypool, you have Juju Smith-Schuster, you got Deontay Johnson, you still got James Washington, then you throw in Vance McDonald, who's going to be stiff-arming people like everybody approach from him going to be looking like, the guy from Tampa, what was his name, Chris Conte, and then you bring in Eric Ebron. Those are big, big targets, so I'm happy about that pick because our offense was damn near on suicide watch. We were on life alert. We needed a whole lot of help last year, and hopefully Chase can make an immediate impact, and I don't think there's going to be a brother who's going to be on the sideline majority of the game. All right, because we expect to probably see, James Washington go back to the slot. So it's going to be a competition outside for the number 2 receiver opposite Juju. Then again, Juju might be going back to, into the slot. And then it'll be between Deontay Johnson's going to be starting on one side. We're going to see who's going to get that other position on the outside. So regardless, I love this pick. Then in the third round, we picked up Alex Highsmith. I'm not too sure how to feel about it. Defensive end out of Charlotte. From what I've seen, he just kind of came into that position, only been playing it for about 2 years. He's not necessarily the traditional size for the defensive ends that we have here in Pittsburgh, but he can, add depth to our pass rush, because nobody's had more sacks over the course of the past 3 seasons than the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I'm not mistaken. All right, led the league in sacks, I think, back-to-back consecutive years, and was only second to Jacksonville in 2017. So whatever the case is, the more pass rushers, the better for Keith Butler's defense. So this is probably going to be the guy who's groomed to take over for Bud Dupree if they don't sign a long-term deal at the conclusion of next season, which I'm hoping that they actually do sign a long-term deal, because Bud and TJ are a hell of a twosome, and they need to be together. But that's beyond the fact. I like this pick. Next, you've seen in the 4th round pick up a guard in Kevin Dodson. Before Kevin Dodson, Anthony McFarland Jr. out of Maryland, running back. I'm not really too sold on the pick, but I'm happy about the depth, because you do see James Conner, not too sure how healthy he'll be. A lot of people are concerned about, can he finish a full season? What is his durability? But then you picked up Snell last year. Jalen Samuels is still on the roster, so now it's going to be a battle to see who's going to be the backup, which I believe should probably be Snell. So this is all just added, depth to the running back room. However, I would like to see this guy as a 2-back formation, utilize him in the pass, because he does have a home run ability when he gets the football in his hands. It's very quick. Very quick. He touches that football, he hits top speed extremely fast. So in the preseason, I'd like to see how they're going to utilize him. If it comes to handing it off, running between tackles, I'm not too confident, because the brother is rather small. But if it's out of the backfield, you see Big Ben or Mason Rudolph become a check down poppy and dump it off to somebody, I'd feel comfortable with him having the football. Then we move on to Kevin Dodson, a guard out of Louisiana. I have no real big problem with this pick. In fact, it adds to the competition for who will replace Ramon Foster upon his retirement. I believe there is it Winkeshut? I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name, who's going to be projected to start. It starts with a W. You guys know what his name is. But it's going to be a competition to see who will get that job at the left guard. I watched a little bit of his film. A little bit concerned about the pass blocking ability, knowing that Pittsburgh will be passing the football quite a bit this upcoming season. I'm curious about how good he'll be in the pass game. When it comes to the run game, I'm not too concerned. He looks as if he's a bit of a mauler. He can block people downfield, get to the second level. It's just a pass blocking of how quick he kicks back or how quick he's able to move over, his lateral quickness that's there. That's my only concern. The 6th round pick, we ended up getting Antwon Brooks out of Maryland, another pick back-to-back out of, the first of the back-to-back picks out of Maryland. I like this guy because he seems to be a very versatile safety. You can put him at a slot corner. You can line him up at linebacker. And hell, you could have him back there at safety too, at free or strong. Well, he won't have to worry too much about the wherever the hell Mink is playing, whether it's free or strong. Let that brother do whatever the hell he wants. You put somebody opposite him. We've already had a ton of questions regarding Edmonds. We don't know if Edmond has what it takes. We've given it 3 years. We're still sitting here waiting like, do something. Do something. Activate your dreadlock prowess. Be like your brother. Whatever the case is. All right, I like this guy. I'm hoping we can use him in numerous different ways, because this was probably the first year in almost a decade that we did not need to go into the draft hoping somebody drafts a corner. We weren't screaming at the top of our lungs, help the secondary, because last year, secondary was actually somewhat spectacular for the first time in a very long time. And then last but not least, we picked up a defensive end out of Nebraska, and that being Carlos Davis. After losing Javon Hargrave in free agency, we needed to add to that D-line. So I'm not too sure if he's going to make an immediate splash. You're going to see Tuitt return from injury this upcoming year, but he plays at the D end, so I'm not too concerned about that. But he'll be in rotation, and he plays a little bit of nose tackle. We've been needing somebody to be dominant as nose tackle since Casey Hampton. All right, Hargrave did a hell of a job, but we need somebody who could clog up space and also garner a rush on the quarterback and even stuff up the running lanes as well. So I had no real issues with the draft. overall, this current draft class, I have no sort of expectation for them to come out and ball out this season. The only person that I have high expectation for is Chase Claypool. Everybody else, give it some time. I think this draft class will pay off maybe next year or the following year after that, because some of these guys have to be groomed. There'll probably be a few who don't end up making the roster, and it is what it is. You'll probably find somebody in free agency, or some people will end up getting traded away. But overall, I liked what the Steelers did this draft, because defensively, there were no huge sort of questions. We just needed to go and add a bit of depth. All right, our safety room, or I should say a secondary room, really. We just need to add a little bit of depth. We're not too sure what's going to happen moving forward with Mike Hilton. He will be here for this upcoming season, but this is going to maybe be the last. I believe he's a restricted free agent from where we're sitting right now. So we need to add more depth to that secondary room. Our inside linebackers, outside, Vince Williams, he's great, but he's 30 now. So we got to start looking for some fresh legs. All right, Devin Bush, I have no problem with that, brother. Love him. We just got to figure out what we're doing with the snap percentage, because he started out the season with playing a shit ton of snaps, and then towards the end of the season, or I should say the middle, going towards the end, we saw a little bit of a decrease, and then it slowly started coming back up. So I'm not too sure what Butler's doing with the snap. We just got to figure that out. So maybe with bringing in a few of these draft picks or finding other people in free agency, we could figure that out. Our ends, I have no concern about Cameron Hayward, none about TJ Watt, nor anything about Bud Dupree. We've seen them all continue to increase in their play and get better. All right, now if they could just pass that down to the people behind them, I'm not too concerned. For the first time in a while, we don't really need to worry about the defense. On the offensive side of the ball, if Ben is healthy and plays every single game, I am not too concerned. If James Conner can stay healthy, I am not too concerned. Our offensive line is not what it once was a few years back, but with Ben back, he can instruct the guys at the line and make the checks for protections like the Peyton Mannings and the Tom Bradys of the world, because we've seen Ben do it for the better half of the decade. But losing Foster, that's a big loss, because if you remember anything about watching Pittsburgh Steelers football, the guy who's at the line standing up, in front of Ben and then signals to Pouncey to snap the ball, that was Foster. So we're losing a vet on the line, and somebody's going to have to come in and step up. All right, Villanueva, I'm not too concerned about the left tackle. All right, that brother can play. Marquise Pouncey just got elected to the All-Decade team, and he can still bowl. I believe he went to 8 Pro Bowls in the last 10 years. That brother got no slowing down. All right side of the line, we'll see how things play out. All right, I think Finney will probably end up starting at the right tackle if I'm not mistaken. But we should be all right. We should be all right. I have no real issues with the draft. We addressed the tight end position through free agency. We got Chase Claypool at wide receiver. We picked up an additional running back, and I cannot forget we picked up Derek Watt from the Chargers through free agency as well. So I'd like to see some I formation in utilizing him in front of James Conner. So I have nothing but ups. I feel very confident in this football team. All right, I'm going to talk about the schedule very soon and my expectations for how games should conclude if we play our version of football. So for Steelers fans, patience is the word here. That is the #1 word that you should have on top of your terrible towel and underneath your stickers of all the Lombardis that we have. It should be patience, because give this crew a little bit of time. But we still have an opportunity here to conquer the AFC with the departure of Tom Brady and the Patriots dynasty finally being over, allegedly, because you can't really get your hopes up. Belichick still exists. All right? But you have the Baltimore Ravens to worry about. You got the Kansas City Chiefs to worry about. But really, the AFC is open. At this point, the juggernaut is now gone. The AFC is open. It is now our time to strike! And we have the talent to do so. So, I am hopeful we will be able to get it done this season. But let me know in the comment section, what do you think of the Steelers draft class? What is your grade? I would give the Pittsburgh Steelers a B. B plus? No, maybe not a B plus. A B. I'll give it a B draft grade. Let me know what you think of the picks. Who do you think that we passed on that we should have drafted? If there were a position that we did not address, which one should it have been? Which pick would you have passed on and selected somebody else? Let me know in the comment section. I'm looking forward to this dialogue because we ain't talked Pittsburgh Steelers football in a little bit.